Hello everyone and welcome back to another The Ace radio style talk show. You know what to do, just listen on in and make sure you leave a comment on anything that piques your interest or comment on any other things you want to hear about. So let's go on now. Today we're going to talk about different account types. This was a request topics from a player here, Devin Groves 93. Shout out to you for posting a comment of what you want to hear about and maybe find out what category you fit into. Now to start off, we're going to go with what main accounts. People always talk about having a main. Well, what that basically is, for those that don't know, main account is, let's say, the first account that you pretty much started playing, and you've really worked up all the levels on it. You really found out what the game's about, and then you found out what really piqued your interest in the game. So you started making different accounts to just focus on certain parts or certain aspects of the game. Now that leads into the questers. Players known as being questers are normally the ones that normally just have one account. They might have a secondary account, but they really like doing all the quests in the game. Those are the players that always have the quest cape. They're always into the storyboard line of the different areas of the game, as far as the different cultures, the different types of creatures in the games. They follow along with the stories that go along with it. I mean, if you're a quester, you probably know the ins and outs of all the gods and how they came to be. You know the ins and outs of the different characters in the game. You know how the game areas came to be through the storylines, or like the age of a culture and things like that. I used to know a player that would really know the ins and outs of things like that, and he really made some pretty good points of how to do things because of knowing the background of the character and the storyline. That gave a general idea of the area of the game that we were playing in or whatnot, which helped out, you know, as far as doing battles and stuff like that. So if you're a quester, that's you really know your stories, you know the storylines, and it's definitely a plus to really know that stuff in the game. It really brings out the imagination. A lot of questers are usually your high level players, which is another type of account. Your high levels are usually the players that really want to basically max out every skill. You got your high level combats, which are mainly your player versus monster or PVM players, and then you got your high level as far as your skills. Well, a lot of the views of the players are usually about the combat. Now, we all know the game RuneScape's not about just combat. So you do have a lot of higher levels out there that aren't combat, and really they kind of don't get appreciated for the game they play unless they're maxed out or whatnot. Now, that's another type of player of a high level subcategory, let's say, is your maxed out players. Now, of course, we all know the famous Zizima or Zizima, however you say it. So, I mean, that was a max player. That was a high level player that really got popular for having the most experience in the game for the longest period of time. Now that, you know, we've gotten a whole lot more players in the game and a whole lot more veteran long-term players in the game, of course you're going to have now the switching hands of who has the most experience in the game, who has done the most stuff in the game, and so on. So, I mean, the next one was King Duffy. A lot of you players probably know that name. But that's all along your high level type of things. You basically, if you're a high level player, you pretty much know the ins and outs of things. You could go to any boss fight basically and either know how to solo or whatnot, or if you're a high level in skills, you would be able to easily bring up information as far as what you've learned in that skill and how to do things, the best way to do things that aren't so boring or don't take a whole lot of determination to get your levels. So that pretty much covers that. Now we'll go on to combat types. Now for combat types, we'll say everybody knows we have the three main group of combat types. You got your rangers, you got your meleeers, you got your mages, and there isn't really much to be said about that other than some players really do like to focus on just one skill, one combat type, and then they master using that one combat type for anything in the game. They can probably tell you how to use mage for killing something that normally you would think range would be best for, or melee. Or you have some rangers out there that could tell you how to range something that normally would seem impossible, that you would think you'd have to melee. Or even the melee, there are some bosses that you think the only way to beat it is the melee, or is to use range or magic, I mean. But the players that specialize just in the melee, they could probably help you out as far as knowing how to melee it. You know, everybody has their interest. They don't like the fire cast of ranging or casting spells of mages. They're the up the front players. They want to be in your face. Your rangers want to be seen, but they want to be stealthy also. Majors are more or less in your face. I'm gonna freeze you or whatever, and ha ha ha, there's nothing you're gonna do about it. Which brings in basically your pures, or your pure PKers, that specialize in each one of these combat types. You got a lot of different PKers that are your pure, that basically only do range or melee, or they use a mix. As far as PKers in general now, they use a mix of mage and melee, and some use a mix of mage and range. It really varies on what you can do. And generally, a pure PKer, a player that does nothing but PvP, player versus player, or player killing, PKer wise, usually is just somebody with a whole lot of combat experience, whether, no matter what area of combat it is, if not all in general. But they don't really have a whole lot of skills. If they do, what they've done is they've taken the money or the items that they've gotten off of killing players out in the wild, or even dual arena staking, and they've bought their skills from the GE, as far as all the items they needed in the GE to level up their accounts. And those are players that'll be basically only well known for just PKing. You also have your PKers that aren't really the violent type as far as wanting to affect other players with their actions, other than winning a game or whatnot. And that's your castle wars, your clan wars type players. They don't risk anything. They just want to play a game to where they're having some fun. Castle wars is basically nothing but capture the flag. It's always a fun game to play. And you got some pure accounts that build themselves up by doing that, as far as pure combat wise. Again, back with the PKers, you got a lot of different pures in PKing. You have pures as far as each of the combat styles, of course. And then you got some of the players that go beyond that type of pure for PKing. They use nothing but obsidian weapons and things that really help boost that aspect, like a berserker necklace and things like that. You have players that do nothing but use a certain type of mage. They won't use some of these other mage styles. They'll only use the basic general mage, or they'll only use ancient mage, or whatnot. Or you got the meleeers, the different type of meleeers, of course, being your pure PKer, which is a pure strength mainly. They use a lot of the maul type weapons, the crush type weapons, anything that's majorly a strength type of weapon, of course. And then your rangers do a lot of your high attack level and, of course, range. Now you have also your tanks. Well, I always call tanks, as far as combat wise, a pure tank, or a hybrid as they're called. You'll see a lot of them out in the PKing, or you'll see them in Castle Wars also. Now a tank is normally, well, yeah, if you think what a tank is, it's usually a range type thing that has a very high defense. Now a tank for me would be a ranger, a 99 skill ranger with 99 defense. That's a hybrid tank. I mean, if you really think about it, they could really mess some things up, and they could really kill off players fairly easily. Same as majors. Again, that's a Farcast type style fighting, so you're dealing with like a range aspect. And then if you get, say, 99 mage and 99 defense, now you're a tank. I mean, that's all there is. Now, if you're a tank far as melee, there's not really a tank or a hybrid for melee, other than being pure strength, pure defense, and really you're more or less a battering ram. You're one of those types of tanks that would go in and just be able to handle all the abuse of getting hit on, but also be able to deal a whole lot of damage yourself just by, let's say, in the aspects of running them over, basically. Definitely can really mess some things up. Some of those, the melee tanks are usually some of the best types of tanks as far as bosses and stuff like that, because they can really draw the boss's attention to them while they're meleeing, while your other parts of your group or your party, as far as the teams going in to do boss events, they can do the range and the mage tank from a distance and really help knock out the boss or bosses quite quick. So there's a lot of different styles of pures, and as far as combat wise. Now you do have pures in general, which are basically secondary accounts, second or third accounts, which are players that want to challenge themselves to do nothing more than just a skill. Now you have, like we said, the pure combat types, which is kind of hard to do, being a pure strength or a pure attack or whatnot. But as far as a pure skill, that's kind of hard to do, because you're really giving yourself no room to mess up whatsoever. Because if you accidentally do a quest that gives you experience for a different skill, you done messed up your account. Or if you done made something or even killed anything, if you're a pure skiller, I mean, you do nothing but woodcut and get that right up to max. I mean, 99, or you can go beyond that and do, 200 million experience. You also have pures that are just a pure as far as they're all skills in general, everything that they can do, but they remain a level 3. I know a level 3 player that has the air guitar emote, which means they were able to use a level 3 account to collect all the songs needed to get that air guitar emote. That's pretty challenging. You definitely need friends to help you out and do that. And also a level 3 combat player with 120 dungeoneering. Now that's also a very hard challenge, because you mess up once on accidentally getting experience for hit points or combat, and you're not watching what you're doing, you've done messed up your account again. Or, I mean, doing quest as a level 3 without gaining any combat experience, of doing every quest possible, or even challenging yourself, as long as it doesn't have combat experience as a reward, to do the quest and actually say that you've got it, you've done it, or you've got that quest item to show that you've really done that quest. Now, enough about that type of pures and those type of accounts. Let's go into your hidden, your skill, the ones that aren't really noticed in the game but are noticed. They are part of the game for the most part, is what I call the hidden skills. Basically, hidden skills are, let's say, we were talking about combat and PKing wise, for your hidden skills you have looters. Now, it's a pretty hard thing to do nothing but loot while you're out in the wild and be able to survive. That's actually a kind of skill to be able to go in there with your regular account, even if you're level 100 or 120 or lower levels, a lot easier because it's harder to attack in wild. If you're a higher level player, it's definitely a whole lot harder to loot because someone will see you running around and they're going to try to attack you and see what wealth you're carrying on you, just for grins. They can see that you're not really out there to PK, but you're going to make an easy kill for them. And an easy kill, well, anything that you drop is easy money. Now, another hidden skill, of course, which is very well known, is merchanting. Using the Grand Exchange to make money, make profit, make everything, all the money that you're going to need in the game. You can do nothing but sit there at the Grand Exchange and what we call flip items, your merchant items. You buy a whole bunch of items at a certain price, and then you turn around and resell them for a profit. Now, I have a video class on that. It's really long, but if you've never merchanted before, it's worth a watch. It'll really give you the ins and outs and how to find items and stuff like that. That's about it for hidden skill wise. If you can think of any other hidden skills that I might have missed, make sure you post a comment. Money makers, for the accounts that do nothing but money makers, well, we've already kind of covered that. You have your merchanters, your flippers at the Grand Exchange. You have your looters. You have the PKers, of course, as far as money making. You have your pure skillers or whatnot. They use the skills to make their money. Another one I would have to say would be a mini game type of money maker. For example, it's being botted left and right now. The Source Garden. You go through there, you dodge the elves or the little spirit things anyways, and you get experience for taking the herbs, or you pick the fruit. Either or. A lot of players go in there, get the herbs, and then turn around and sell the herbs in a Grand Exchange. Now, usually about 10 trips or one full inventory, one full bag full of herbs, it can average around about 100k. And it doesn't take that long once you've really figured out how to do Source Garden and the different gardens, the seasons. Once you really find one that you can really run through and do really quick, it doesn't take long to make money that way. You also have your boss killing. We've talked about that already as far as the things that you do money-wise, or combat pures. Well, that pretty much covers everything that Devin Groves 93 posted for a comment for a suggestion. Make sure you leave a comment or a suggestion for another talk show video, and I'll give you a shout out. Devin Groves 93. I'll leave a description for his channel down below, a link to it, and give it a look. So, anyways, until next time, have fun and good luck.